Hey guys, tonight we step into a place where gold glimmers in the sun, palm fronds whisper in the breeze, and the scent of lotus oil lingers like a promise. It's ancient Egypt, not just the land of pyramids and pharaohs, but also of scented dreams, temple baths, and oil bottles carved with care. And yes, while modern sleep aids include melatonin and weighted blankets, in ancient Thebes, your go-to might have been a dab of blue lotus oil on your temples. You probably wouldn't survive the heat, the linen, or the foot-high eyeliner, but you'd smell amazing. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is there. I love seeing how far this little bedtime ship sails. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Once upon a time, along the lush, slow-moving Nile, lived a people who believed that scent wasn't just pleasant, it was sacred. To the ancient Egyptians, fragrance was more than a sensory delight. It was a language of the divine, a medicine, a memory, a bridge between the earthly and the eternal. You're wandering through a bustling market in Memphis around 1500 BCE. You pass stalls of copper trinkets, alabaster jars, dried herbs, and then the air changes. A vendor crushes myrrh resin beneath a stone, and the sharp, pine-like aroma dances toward you. Nearby, another seller offers a paste of cinnamon and honey, meant to be worn behind the ears at night. Children run past holding bundles of papyrus, while an old woman fans herself with a palm leaf scented in rose oil. Perfume was everywhere, on wigs, in bedsheets, even in funeral rites. It was how you showed status, health, and devotion. You didn't just live among smells, you bathed in them. Historians still argue whether the average Egyptian bathed daily or used oils instead of water. But one thing's certain, everyone smelled like something, and that something had meaning. Take Kifi, for instance. This was no casual cologne. It was a complex incense blend made with wine-soaked raisins, honey, frankincense, and up to 16 other ingredients, ground together under priestly supervision. Kifi wasn't just burned, it was inhaled like prayer. Breathe in, and you're closer to Ra, the sun god. Breathe out, and perhaps your worries drift with the smoke. In temple workshops, rows of clay pots held oils infused with marjoram, cedarwood, and sweet flag. These were applied not just for beauty, but to chase away evil spirits or calm fevered dreams. And let's not forget the blue lotus, the original dream oil. This little aquatic flower was steeped into wine, turned into perfume, and even painted into tombs as a symbol of rebirth and peace. It's evening now. The sky over the Nile has softened to dusty lavender. You sit under a fig tree with an alabaster vial in hand. You remove the wax seal and dab the tiniest bit onto your wrist. The scent is warm, earthy, and slightly bitter, like saffron and something older, something like the smell of stories. And just like that, your pulse slows. You're not quite dreaming yet, but you've entered the in-between, that golden hour of the soul. Because in ancient Egypt, to smell was to feel, and to feel deeply was to begin healing. Every day in ancient Egypt began with light. Light pouring through open courtyards, glinting off sandstone walls, and illuminating the daily rituals that kept body and soul aligned. And among the most sacred of these rituals, scent. As the sun crept above the horizon, priests bathed, not just with water, but with oils. Before they could step foot into a temple, their bodies had to be purified. It wasn't enough to be clean. They had to smell divine. Sandalwood oil for grounding, myrrh to cleanse the spirit, a dab of frankincense behind the ears to open the mind. You, rising in your linen robes, would have followed suit. Maybe not as lavishly, but close. Oils weren't reserved for royalty. They were for anyone who could afford them, or make them. You mix yours at home, olive oil infused with crushed basil leaves and dried orange peel. You store it in a clay jar with a cork stopper. You keep it in the coolest part of your mud brick house, right next to your dried dates and barley. Scent was woven into every layer of life. Weddings featured perfumed garlands. Babies were anointed with cedar oil. Even contracts might include a clause about scented gifts. You weren't just offering a dowry, you were offering a bottle of sleep. One scroll from the 12th dynasty hints that workers were sometimes paid in perfumed balms. And that makes sense. After a day spent hauling stones in the heat, what better reward than a cooling rub of peppermint oil on your shoulders? It wasn't indulgence, it was survival. Of course, some oils weren't soothing at all. The crocodile oil, yes, really, was rubbed on sore joints. It worked. Probably. Maybe. Historians still debate whether the more unusual ingredients were medicine or superstition, but not all scents were for healing. Some were for mystery. Imagine walking past the home of a perfumer in Thebes. The walls are streaked with soot from years of boiling resins. Through the window, you see long-necked jars, copper distillers, and a heap of dried blue lotus flowers. The scent is intoxicating, floral, with a whisper of something spicy, something like cardamom. And then, at night, when the city quiets and the Nile turns to silk, you lie in bed on linen sheets lightly perfumed with marjoram and chamomile. You press a cloth to your forehead soaked in neroli water. The moonlight drifts across your ceiling. The oils don't just lull you, they carry you. Across deserts, into dreams, onto boats, floating through perfumed fields of papyrus. Every night, you fall asleep inside a poem of scent. And here's a small quirk. Elite tombs often included tiny alabaster jars sealed for eternity. Scientists opened some, millennia later, and found traces of fatty acids and fragrant resins. What they smelled was the past. What they bottled was rest. So yes, while you snooze with lavender spray today, your Egyptian ancestors had an entire olfactory symphony to lull them to sleep. And one day, you awaken not to sunlight, but to smoke, gentle, sweet, winding tendrils of kiphi rising through the morning air. This is no ordinary day. You're not in your village or even in your own bed. You've journeyed upriver toward the great temple complex at Edfu, where the most sacred blends of scent are prepared, not merely for pleasure, but for communion with the gods. Kifi, even the word is musical. A legendary incense whispered about in every corner of Kemet. It's a concoction of over 16 ingredients, each one a fragment of Egypt's soul. Honey, raisins, wine, myrrh, frankincense, cinnamon, juniper berries, henna, cardamom, and a dash of magic. That last one's not listed, but let's be honest, it's in there. As the priests chant their morning prayers, you watch them grind the ingredients by hand. It takes hours, days. The resins must be softened in wine, the dried fruits pounded into paste, the wood sliced into slivers and left to sun dry until they're ready to burn clean. You try not to sneeze as a pinch of powdered cinnamon wafts through the air. Historians still argue. A nearby scribe murmurs to you whether Kifi was medicine, perfume, or a divine offering. Personally, he adds, I think it was all three. You nod, eyes watering, and realize something else. This blend isn't just about scent. It's about rhythm. Kifi was often burned at night, just before bed. The slow release of fragrance was said to calm the nerves, banish nightmares, and guide the soul gently through the underworld. You are offered a tiny pellet to smell. It's sticky, smoky, sweet. It smells like a story, like firelight, like something that existed before words. Inhaling deeply, you feel your heart slow. You imagine how the ancients might have lined their beds with woven reeds, their heads resting on wooden headrests curved like a smile. Around them, the thick perfume of kiphi floating through the air like a lullaby. And then there were the rituals. Oh, the rituals. Before sleep, a priestess might rub a blend of oils behind your ears while chanting a protective spell. May your dreams walk among the lotus. Or may Anubis guard the door to your night. Not all dreams were welcome after all. The Egyptian Book of Dreams, yes, they had one, offered interpretations for everything from losing teeth, bad omen, to seeing a cat. Could go either way. Dreaming of water lilies meant peace. Dreaming of crocodiles, well, sleep with one eye open. Tonight, you sleep inside the temple guest house, a simple chamber lined with ochre-painted lotus motifs. Your pillow is cool, your thoughts slow. You remember how one priest explained it. The gods speak in scent. You just have to learn to listen. Outside, a final waft of kiffi curls through the evening air. It's not overpowering. It's gentle, like an old friend tucking you in. And as you drift off, a single question floats in your mind. If scent can guide the gods to us, could it also carry us to them? So that you find yourself embraced by the quiet calm that only scented oils can summon. The ancient Egyptians didn't just stumble upon these fragrances by chance, they perfected them as tools for healing and tranquility. You imagine the bustling bazaars of Thebes, fragrant with frankincense and myrrh, merchants offering tiny vials of oils, each promising restful sleep or relief from a restless mind. The oils themselves were extracted with care. Olive oil was the base, rich and smooth, and into it were infused delicate notes of lotus blossom, cedarwood, and lavender. You try to picture the process. Oil gently warmed in a bronze basin, petals and resin slowly steeped, then strained through fine linen. A ritual of patience, like life itself. And it wasn't just about sleep. The Egyptians believed scent could cleanse more than just the body. It could purify the spirit. During the day, perfumed oils were used to anoint the skin, ward off illnesses, and mark sacred ceremonies. At night, these same oils would ease the transition into the dream world. Historians still argue whether these oils acted purely as aromatherapy, or if their calming effects had a biochemical basis. Modern science might call it placebo, but you can't help but think there was something deeply psychological and spiritual at play. You picture a typical evening. A noblewoman reclining on her couch, a servant gently massaging scented oil onto her temples, while outside, the Nile's cool breeze whispers through papyrus reeds. The candlelight flickers, shadows dancing on walls adorned with hieroglyphics and painted lotus flowers. There's a softness to this moment, a timelessness. You can almost hear the distant echo of a harp, the faint murmur of a lullaby sung in a language lost to time. And then there are the lesser-known oils, the quirky favorites of the ancient apothecaries. Did you know they used castor oil not just as a laxative, but also as a sleep aid? Or that some blends included a hint of cannabis, believed to ease anxiety and invite peaceful dreams? You raise an eyebrow. Ancient Egyptians and their herbal remedies, they were surprisingly modern in some ways. As you relax further, you remember the temple gardens filled with medicinal plants. Mandrake, henna, coriander, all grown for their healing properties and their scents. The gardens were a sanctuary, a place to reconnect with nature and prepare the body and mind for rest. Sleep was sacred. It was a journey. The Egyptians believed the soul left the body during sleep and needed protection. Oils and scents were their shield, their invitation to peaceful passage through the night. You feel a gentle tug in your chest, a warmth spreading through your limbs. The night is deepening, and the fragrant veil of scented oils is wrapping you in its ancient embrace. Somewhere, a priestess whispers a blessing for your dreams. It's not just about relaxation. It's about belonging to a tradition that spans millennia, a shared human need to find comfort in the darkness. So tonight, as you lie down, remember this. You are part of a long line of dreamers, cradled by scents crafted with love, patience, and the hope of sweet. Since then, sleep remained a sacred ritual, and the legacy of ancient Egyptian scented oils quietly slipped into the shadows of history, only to re-emerge centuries later in the fragrant traditions of the Mediterranean and beyond. You imagine the passing of time, pharaohs replaced by empires, yet the love for calming scents never faded. Even now, centuries later, you might catch a whiff of lavender or frankincense and feel a soothing calm wash over you, a subtle reminder of those temple gardens and serene Nile evenings. The ancient recipes might be lost to time, but their spirit lingers in every bottle of essential oil, every ritual bath, and every quiet moment of self-care. You might smile knowing that those delicate blends were the original stress relief. No apps, no pills, just the power of nature distilled into fragrant drops. It's a gentle, humble legacy, but one that continues to offer peace in an often chaotic world. Historians and aromatherapists alike continue to debate the exact compositions and uses of these oils, but what remains undisputed is the timeless human desire to find comfort and calm before sleep. Whether it was a priestess anointing a noble's brow, or you simply lighting a lavender candle tonight, you're part of that same age-old ritual. As you drift closer to sleep, the scent of those ancient oils seems to float in the air around you, an invisible thread tying you to a distant past where calm was a treasure and rest a sacred gift. Since then, people across cultures have woven their own stories and rituals around scents, each one a unique lullaby for the soul. You feel a quiet gratitude for this connection across time and space. And so, as your eyes grow heavy and your breathing slows, remember this moment. A peaceful pause in the flow of history, a soft embrace from the scented oils of ancient Egypt guiding you gently into dreams. Then the end. Wind down. Now, as your breath deepens and your body relaxes further, feel the calm seep into every corner of your being. The scents of ancient oils, real or imagined, wrap around you like a comforting blanket. Let your thoughts drift like soft petals on a slow river, quiet and peaceful. Tonight, you rest not just as yourself, but as part of a timeless tradition, cradled by history and healing. Embrace this gentle calm and allow sleep to carry you softly into a world of dreams. Good night and sweet dreams. End of